Hello, KLV Podcast listeners. Welcome back to HQ, where the team of KLV Weddings shares their thoughts on business, marketing, and more. I am your showrunner, Brian. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome back, guys, to KLV Weddings. Or KLV Podcast. It's been a minute, but we're here and want to jumpstart this because there's been talks that we may start weddings again by, I would say, June or July, just because we heard the news that Orange County, even San Bernardino County in California, is going into phase 3. Yeah. It's currently at phase 2.5 right now, meaning that most dine-in restaurants can still open, but then you just need to pull up and they'll hand you your order. But other than that, so what does that mean for the wedding industry? There's going to be some changes, right? Yeah. And how we operate our business as photographers.
Yeah.
And how we meet, and we can just kind of dive into that.
Yeah.
So currently what I've been seeing is that our trend is our clients that we booked for 2020 within this second quarter of 2020, most of them have shifted or postponed all their weddings to 2021.
Even our third quarter, some of our third quarter, something in September. Is that still?
Yeah, that's third quarter.
That's third quarter. Yeah, so some in September are moving over to next year too.
Which I kind of predicted anyways in March, that if this is the case, you rather be safe.
Right.
And if I was in their shoes, I'd rather be safe.
It's not even safe too. It's kind of the mental, mentally, I don't want to go back right away and be like part of that test group that, I think that's what people are most afraid of, is just the mental aspect. Like, oh, we've done this for 3 months now, and now I'm going to take off my mask. Heck no.
Yeah. It's like jumping.
Yeah.
Just jumping in and not knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
Especially like even these stages that they put out for throughout the nation. It's kind of risky still, No one really knows how this virus acts, especially when now we're almost approaching in the next 2 or 3 months into flu season again, and how that would react.
Yeah, you said it was going to be in August.
It's going to be in August, a little earlier,
yeah.
Just because that's the tip when normally people will go back to school and things are starting to spread,
I see.
Yeah.
If they go back.
I mean, how is flu? Like, I don't know too much about flu season and where it derives from and what makes it a season.
I thought it was just because it was cold and that everybody was just more run down. It's at the end of the year. You're tired. You're more tired from doing whatever you're doing. It's colder. I thought that's
but
just
how do you catch the flu though?
Because your immunity is low.
But is the flu just? It's always around in the air.
Maybe.
See, that's the thing that I'm like very confused in, how someone catches the flu and then they call it the flu season and everyone needs to get their flu shot.
Yeah.
So
we don't know anything.
Yeah. Anyways, if you can answer that for us, that would be awesome. But
well, they say that there is a coronavirus. Like, this is one type of coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
There's always a coronavirus like every year. That's just kind of like, because it's like kind of nature.
Yeah, different strains.
Different strains, right?
Yeah.
So there's always some kind of virus. It's always mutating. It's a living thing. So that's why every year there's something.
Mm-hmm.
And just depending on how well our defense is, meaning like how often we clean ourselves, where we get our products and food, what exposure has, like, there's all this stuff from China where they are not as stringent with their defenses,
So I do kind of have an idea that it can derive from more traveling and people traveling back and forth and other people coming here as tourists to visit, and then it spikes the flu season. Yeah. That's my thinking of it. But then if now no one is flying anywhere, no one's traveling that much, right? Mm-hmm. And they have protocols now to quarantine every time you travel from one location to another. So I was like... How does that work?
I didn't like traveling before. Now I'm really not going to like traveling.
Yeah.
Like, screw that.
So in terms for our clients, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a great question for us to ask them is our potential clients. Do you guys prefer to meet us online now? Like, is there even a point for us to have a studio? Mm-hmm. Usually most of the time we feel it's a better personal connection initially when we first meet is to show you our albums physically, but now we can't show these albums, our work.
I can kind of speak for them because I meet them all the time. So, and now we've been switched over to online meetings, which is fine. I think clients will always preferably want to meet you in person. One, the investment is high. Two, they understand that you need to have a more intimate relationship, closer relationship than with your photographer versus, say, where you got your chairs for your wedding, right? So it's a very intimate like relationship that they're about to embark upon. They're supposed to be lovey-dovey in front of you, and they want to trust you with that vulnerability, right? So I think they always will prefer to meet in person. But considering the circumstance, like if online has to be, safety number one is they always think of that. Safety will always trump what they feel. The logic, I think, will always kind of trump what they feel.
So now, coming to us, should we just now offer online, or is it?
I always wanted to, just because I'm so, and it doesn't come from a place of, it comes from a place of like selfishness, because I can do well online and it's convenient. It's obviously more convenient for me than who's meeting, and for the person meeting me because they don't have to drive and whatever, right? I do understand the pros of meeting in person, like I just said. I just laid it out, right?
But as a consumer, when I think if you're putting yourself in a consumer's shoes, right? For example, if you're going to buy a car, right? You're going to make that drive to that particular dealership that gives you the best deal, right? Or you just connect with them, or you heard your friends raving about this particular dealership, even though it's
and you want to test drive it, right? Yeah.
So even though how far it is, you will still make that drive,
right.
And I believe that's what our consumers feel about us, that they don't care about that drive, that convenience. They don't care as long as they're able to meet with you. Yeah. And they heard, raving reviews about you.
Yeah, that's why they always prefer it.
Yeah.
Me being the meter, I can sell you online or in person. That's no problem. But, of course, in person is always going to be like 110% versus 100%. Mm-hmm. I think we can do it, but it does take away from the brand power, I think. When you have it's basically like a brick and mortar. You have a physical location to your otherwise very like, oh, this is what we do and whatever. Yeah. Like it feels more tangible, right? So bottom line,
there's more trust when you hear that a business is established in a particular city and it has its own building and everything.
Yeah. We can do it without it, but to let that go when we've had it already and we're kind of used to it will be an adjustment if that's what it comes to. Like if we didn't have a choice, basically.
I already knew that world because I used to drive to Starbucks, remember? And if they ever even wanted to meet again,
you're like,
it's so inconvenient. I'd rather choose one day of meeting at a Starbucks. I'd rather get a studio. Yeah, that one day of meeting at a Starbucks just sucks because of the noise control and finding seats and even showing up an hour earlier and just sitting there and wasting time.
Say other people's conversations, right? They're just sitting right there, but you could hear everything that they're saying, and you're trying to be present with the client.
Yeah.
I can imagine that being incredibly,
it was difficult. Yeah. It was very distracting. And it's weird because back in the day, it's like, all right, bye.
It doesn't feel professional.
Yeah. It's like, okay, now I'm leaving Starbucks.
It does feel bootleg, right? Yeah. It doesn't feel, it feels like you're first starting out.
Yeah.
It doesn't give our brand the presence that we wanted to have.
It's like they're leaving Starbucks. You're not leaving your company.
Yeah.
When they're leaving.
I think it's still possible to do it because it's not like phase 2.5 is open, right?
Yeah.
So we can have masks in person. Like if we still get to keep our studio and everything, and if it works out for the numbers, like I would vote to keep it, and we would execute new parameters in terms of social distancing and trying to be safe and everything. Like if anything, we'll sit 6 feet apart or whatever it is, whatever the parameters that we have to set. And then the next step up from our studio right now is for it to just be hours and hours alone, to have complete 100% control of the studio.
Yeah.
That's the only direction that makes sense to me in terms of where we're going. If we want to keep this going, and you know, it makes more sense to have a studio that completely belongs to us.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense right now just because of how expensive things are, and we're not at that level to own an entire building. And especially we don't have people working out of the studio, so
that could be the next step, right?
Yeah, I mean, eventually.
Instead of working here.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that because we always kind of talk about it and it keeps going back and forth. It's like you work from home, but then how separating your personal life from your home, which is very difficult.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, like ultimately.
Well, for us, it is.
Ultimately, we've been doing it for many years, but then we were doing it in a larger home where we could separate ourselves. Mm-hmm. But then in this home, it's a little bit smaller, so we do run into each other. But then the energy is very different. The moment that someone starts to work, everyone needs to work. Mm-hmm. The moment that one person relaxes, it feels like it pulls everyone down to wanting to relax.
Yeah, it feels like why am I working and you're relaxing?
Yeah, so there's weird. No freedom. There's no like that balance of freedom of working from home, especially when we have our employees come over and to work here. It doesn't become a home anymore. There's more foot traffic. It's different. Yeah. It becomes a business building, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I do like your idea that, whatever parameters we have to kind of think of if we're having more in-person meetings, that we have a stationary area where they can sanitize their hands before walking in the door. Mm-hmm. Just like when I go to my bike shop, they spray my hands with alcohol and then they provide gloves. And then I put on the gloves. Mask is always required before walking indoors. Mm-hmm. And we sit and we talk. And, it's hard. The only difference that's going to be challenging is we don't see each other's facial expressions. Mm-hmm. It's like almost emotionless, even though, you're going to hear some laughs underneath that mask and everything. But it's going to be a little different in that sense. But I will get over it. It will become
the same, like online.
It will become the norm.
Yeah.
But other things I've read is that the trend is people do want to stay close at home when they travel now. Yeah. So I don't know how that impacts us, right? In meetings now, although, meetings are good in person. But people want to shop closer to home if they're going to go shop.
You're talking about us being in this part of the town.
Yeah, and then people are from LA or from South OC or
Yeah, that's we don't know yet, but that's
But we've been
really
seeing like the
observation.
Yeah, the meetings that you've been doing, most of our clients are from LA and they didn't want to make that travel down Orange County or...
Well, that's just because of the whole stay-at-home thing. I'm sure they wanted to, but we switched over to online once the whole stay-at-home thing was enacted.
But people are understanding, and
I don't know. It's hard to call it right now, especially with so little increase coming in. Mm-hmm. When they do, they are quality leads, except for maybe one or two here and there.
Yeah,
that are asking about something not related to what we really do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's too early to tell. It's too early to call it.
Yeah.
Because LA will not open for... I mean, that's where we mostly go, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's
LA
opening.
won't open probably until next year, I would say. It's just so like heavy traffic of different people traveling from different areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that's a toss up. Who knows?
But
right?
yeah, let's go into other things of what I've read is and you experienced this as well when you had this itchy thing.
I had a rash.
Yeah.
I had 2 rashes.
So I heard telemedicine is the new trend.
What's that?
That means they will treat you over the
Online.
telephone
Oh,
or virtual streaming.
Yeah.
So
It was annoying.
yeah, how'd you feel initially?
Well, first I was like, thank God, because like it's better than nothing, right? Especially when like our medical center was being flooded, which meant no appointments for the next, who knows, right? So they're like, okay, we don't have any FaceTime available because they were doing like like online one where you could see with video, but we have a phone appointment available. I was like, okay. And then it's a bunch of questions. You send in pictures, which, as we were trying to do together, is like the pictures aren't really capturing exactly what it is, you know, even how good the quality is of the picture. So that was kind of annoying where you don't get that immediate direct assessment from the doctor when that's what you really needed.
Which is very similar to now when we're talking about wedding albums and showcasing it. When you can't carry the actual item, as a doctor can't actually feel your skin to see how big these bumps are and how, you know, how crazy it looks in person.
Yeah, there's no
because
context.
Yeah, really behind the photos I can make it look super nasty than it actually than it actually looks in person. So you can have the wrong assessment.
Right.
As consumers can have the wrong idea of us as we're FaceTiming over the phone. Like we're not that type of person.
Right.
You know, we're more personable than let's talk virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the hardest thing.
I don't know, it's bottom line, it sucks. And it's just a matter of like, this is what it is. I don't feel so bad about it. I've made how I meet clients even better. I've upgraded the place. I've upgraded the mic. I've upgraded everything, the best that I can do, the lighting and everything, so that they can experience our online meeting in the best way possible, right? But like, that's the best I could do.
Yeah.
If, you know, other than being in person with you and you can feel my energy right next to you, right? Which is different than online. I have to really project, and even maybe I'm not coming through the screen, through the camera, right, to the other side, that you can't really feel it. And they get distracted too. Sometimes I'm having a meeting with somebody and their dog or their phone is going off. One person was meeting while they were at work, so like there's a bunch of people talking in the background, so I'm distracted too. So it's like it's just not the best situation, but it's the best we can do.
But we can control that now that it's online. These are our parameters, our rules when you meet with us, is that we want to make sure there's no distractions, that we can both be present during this meeting. Yeah.
I tried to do that before. You didn't have to think about that, right? It was like, just be on time. I put that in there.
Yeah.
Be on time, have a good internet connection. You know, I want to make sure you can hear me clearly and all that stuff. But now we have to implement all these new rules.
Yeah. Well, that's just showing how serious we are. And if you're not that serious, then you're not our client.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, bottom line. But they're few and far in between, and most of the time it's just going through the motions, you know? So, I don't know. Most of my priority is to our clients who are already booked, because a lot of times whoever's booking right now, they're very unsure. They're like, we'll see, like this, right?
Yeah, so, they're unsure because the venues are unsure.
Exactly.
They haven't really...
So we can't extend our availability if you're unsure.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine because we have time, right? We have time. We can wait a little bit, and that's fine. But my priority is to people who've already put down money with us, and I want to take care of them first.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing now for future clients that are asking us to shoot their wedding is a gamble for them because they already seen what 2020 clients had to go through, and they don't want to be stuck in that rut and where they have to postpone or I heard venues, I don't want to shout them out, but I really like the venue, but they're kind of terrible what they've done to some of our clients that paid in full but not give them any slack. Not even any, like, they paid for like a 300 head count, but then they're saying that they have to downgrade on the number of guests, but then they're not getting the refund for what they paid for 300.
Why?
Yeah, and that's just the venue's contract. And in the venue's contract, it said no refund based on pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Did they just edit it right
now? Yeah, no, I mean, they didn't edit. It was in there.
It was in there.
Yeah.
So when they've gone through it.
They'd gone through it. Or, I mean, I don't know if they'd gone through it, but they were just smart in adding that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've adjusted our contract for our clients. You know, I hope they understand that. Like, we're lucky that we're established. We're very lucky that we have savings, that you you were conscious enough not to pay us fully. Like, everything goes to the business to maintain the business life, right? We
all know what both of us went through and what I went through personally.
Yeah.
And
so saving is crucial.
And it's just not that, as well as just any business owner have to be smart in always having buffer in case of the economy crashes. And economy always crashes.
Yeah,
it's like a trend.
Yeah.
And nothing always stays afloat forever.
Right.
So it's like with this thing, it's like the perfect timing of what they always say. Every 12 years, something is about to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it was a pandemic or not, maybe it was, just, crazy, downturn in the market. We're prepared for it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm like, we're not going to go through this same pattern. We're going to learn from our mistakes.
Right.
And
just be level-headed and play it by ear and try to predict as much as possible. Sometimes too early to tell, like we're talking about right now. But yeah, I'm trying to pay attention to the language that people are using too, and when they talk to me, when they're postponing and how they're feeling. And it's definitely a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of the fact that it's not just them, it's not just the couple, it's them and their grandparents. That's what I've been seeing in the language is like, oh, my grandparents or my parents are very old or whatever. And of course, our clients are Asian, so they're super concerned about that.
I mean, we're more fear-based as a culture, more conservative as a culture.
We're very conservative, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not about that, like, throwing caution to the wind and, oh, this is my right or whatever. There's some bullshit that we're hearing right now.
Yeah.
They definitely favor the national safety in terms at this point, like a more nationalistic, group-minded mindset.
Yeah.
Versus individual mindset.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's what I'm seeing.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Other trends that are happening in weddings is no more. I don't know how this impacts wedding invites. The company that makes invitations, RSVPs, but everything. They're all going into virtual invites now. That's the current trend, and everyone's having their own website, and you have to check in and RSVP through there.
They have that.
I mean, they've been doing it, but now it's like almost 95% everyone's doing that. So that really kind of cuts down the industry in that level, that no one's investing in these fancy papers.
Yeah.
That craftiness where we normally photograph the invitation cards and, the custom typography. Those shots are basically out of our collection. Yeah, it's like almost these elements of weddings. The traditional elements now are changing.
Well, I wouldn't call it traditional. Those are modern, actually.
Invites?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were traditional.
Traditional, like when we talk about the traditional sense of a wedding, it's like it's not a party. It's a very small, intimate thing. It used to be a very small, intimate thing done in a church or something, right? And it wasn't glamorous. The age of glamorous weddings is dying, basically, because you can't do it anymore. we captured the glamour. And
actually, glamour was supposed to come back this year.
Not glamour as a style, but look how much money was put into weddings, when things were fine.
Mm-hmm.
Before all that, before the trend of the $40 billion wedding industry, it was a simple thing.
Yeah.
You invited 30 people maybe to come to your wedding. It was a very village thing. Like nobody traveled the world to come to your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That's traditional. What we do is modern. It's a very modern thing. The first look, so modern, right?
Yeah.
So, and we've been seeing all these traditional things like the Vietnamese tea ceremony. That's a great example. It was like your little village came to your house, not to a venue. And that's how you got married,
mm-hmm.
right? So that's what I'm trying to define as traditional when I say traditional. And probably things are going to go back to that small, not in that way so drastically where it's like, oh, you only invite we would invite nobody here.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be smaller scale, I think. And
mm-hmm.
the glamour, how much money you used to spend.
Yeah.
Because it was normal. It used to be normal to do that, to spend $30,000.
Well, you're not going to spend that much anymore if you're not going to have that many guests.
Exactly.
So it's all relative.
Yeah.
But then, with things being all relative, things can still increase in costs in how you rent. So those things can still match up, even how small of a wedding it is. It's just based on our economy in California,
mm-hmm.
So even though things are smaller now, and people will still want to deck out a small wedding, like for us, even how small our wedding was, it still required a lot of brain power to put one together.
Well, sure. I'm just saying the typical cost was $30K, right? 30 to $40K. We were well under that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were well under that. So I think if people, which it's still really nice, still because the venue was beautiful and it mm-hmm. provided that texture, that glamour that you maybe would get in like a LA venue or something like this, and you're not paying $10,000 for the venue,
mm-hmm.
or $15,000. So,
but now it went up actually. But then most of the trends now are people are getting married in their backyards.
mm-hmm.
So it's backyards and intimate weddings where we travel out. Very similar to elopement, but more planned.
Yeah,
just more like a planned elopement.
Yeah.
Those are trending. So, yeah. Other things you want to... Oh, yeah, the fashion of
mm-hmm.
weddings.
Mm-hmm.
So for most guests that are being invited, will be provided by the bride and groom with like gloves, those formal gloves that they used to wear back in the day, for ballroom dancing.
Mm-hmm.
That's becoming a trend now.
Mm.
So it kind of matches with their attire, what they're wearing.
That's cool. I love gloves. Fashion gloves.
Yeah, they're fashionable gloves. Tables are still 6 feet apart, but bride and groom or the venue is required to provide each guest with a mask.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I feel that's a little weird, shooting an entire room of people wearing a mask. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's not just you, though,
Yeah, I know that. It's just not me. But
it'll be normal by then,
yeah.
I guess, if it comes to that.
If it becomes the norm, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be normal by then.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So anything else you want to add?
I don't know. Otherwise, I'm just waiting for this to pass, like
with all this back and forth, last minute decisions being made by our governor and everything, right? When is the right time for us to reunite with our team and to jumpstart it, to be prepared? Because, for example, or not example, I actually have a wedding on July 25th.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I want to prep my team to be ready for that wedding. Although if weddings are available to be shot within June.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, should I, start prepping them right now? Like, how does that work? What are your ideas and how we should?
I think you should do whatever makes you feel confident.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think the way that you do. I also don't have the perspective or...
No, so I don't like to just say, okay, weddings are like you can shoot weddings now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 2 weeks before their wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we,
like for the team? Or?
Yeah, how do we train our team to be prepared that they haven't shot in like 3 or 4 months?
We drill. I mean, that's the best thing that we could do. That would be my idea is like, okay, let's drill again. Like, let's go over it. Let's go over the shot list. Let's go over this and that. Like, you just do the best you can. And obviously, we don't have real weddings, right? Like, what else can we do?
Mm-hmm. Also, for like during this time, would you want to market, would you market that we can shoot weddings now? Would you market that?
Yeah, I would. As long as we're doing it inside of the law, you know, I mean, that's a good thing.
Because yesterday I was mountain biking and someone was doing an engagement session in Santiago. I'm like, I guess we can do engagement sessions now. Yeah.
I think it's always, whatever decision we make, it has to come from our internal decision-making process.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with anything, it's like you're going to get all these exterior shit that's going to happen outside of you. But we have to do what's right for our company and what would reflect on us the best. Because definitely other people, like those who were doing the porch side portraits during the stay-at-home thing, like, that was really frowned upon and kind of like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
And people would make memes about it and all that stuff. Like, it was a bad thing. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, we have to have a base where we don't feel comfortable yet, obviously. Like, right now, we don't feel comfortable shooting. Like you told me.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I'm not shooting. Shoot.
No, I mean, I'm not shooting in L.A.
In L.A. or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Let's wait till whatever. So you're the one going out there.
Yeah.
So it's whatever you feel that you need to feel confident to do your job, that you don't feel weird.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody asks you, that you have whatever evidence or facts or, you have your reasons, your legitimate reasons for shooting.
I mean, my legitimate reasons for not shooting right now is because since not everyone is working or everyone's working shorter shifts, everyone's really just hogging up all these nice locations, right? So you're just dealing with a bunch of crowd again in these locations that used to be not as busy during the week.
Yeah.
So there is no point of shooting right now because now you're just throwing yourself in a black hole and risking your health.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know engagements were back on.
But engagements, it's been 2 weeks or a week that it's been back on and people are shooting. But then to me, like, all of my spots are just taken up. It's just too crowded. People are lounging on the beach.
Yeah.
Where during the weekday, normally during the weekday, there's like hardly anyone in these areas on a normal day when people are still stuck at work. But now people are having shorter shifts or they work every other day.
Yeah.
It changes things up. That's why I feel like shooting right now is not a good time,
right.
Especially if you want the beach, right? The beach is definitely not the place to go. LA is cut off, so you get no city, you get no urban. So what's left? What's left is these hiking trails, but it's really dry out there.
And they're
far. It's hot. There's flies. Like, is that a really great experience? No. I feel like no. You're going to get irritated as a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so those are the things that, like, it's not hard to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you just calm down and be like, no, these are the reasons. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the best we can do. I don't freak out like when I talk to these clients, and you could tell in their email they're freaking out a little bit. And it's really, you don't need to. You don't need to burden yourself extra with that anxiety. Like, this is our situation, so this is how we're going to operate with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
I'm ready. Like, geez.
Yeah.
I think to me, it's just getting a little irritating that that our leadership is not clear as well. That's irritating.
Well, yeah, leadership can't be clear because the entire world is not clear.
Right.
Of what this virus is doing to our economy.
Even though in comparison, other countries have kind of got it down and everything. But it's frustrating, you know.
It's sort of a gamble for all of us of, oh, okay, where should we shift our business? You know, where should we shift our mindset? How should we now change our entire ecosystem of our business?
And do we have to, or can we? Is it just a waiting it out game? Like, can we just wait it out? Can you just be patient a little bit? Like, when do we start making drastic moves or something like that?
But my ultimate question when this arise, like this COVID thing, right? Why didn't America just close off the entire, like every city just to stay at home for 2 weeks till this shit dies out? You know, why didn't we do that?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, what's up with
it
the
makes
leadership?
No sense. I would have done that.
Yeah.
You know, like if this thing dies in 14 days, right? Whatever it says, just have everyone stay at home for 14 days.
Well, that was before you had context. You know, like right now you have it's always 2020's hindsight when you look back, right?
Yeah.
Because you see already. But when you're in it, or you think maybe it's not that serious, or you're like, it'll pass, whatever. Or, you know, I'm sure it was that kind of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there have been many warnings before.
Yeah.
And that's just what happened. So I don't like to think about why didn't they do that, because it doesn't help anything. But it is irritating.
Well, going back now into what we're initially doing at home is in the meantime we're building Black City Coffee because we never paid attention enough to Black City, right? Yeah. We actually, when you first got your roaster, you did initially put some energy into it and you did make sales. And then I put some energy into the marketing side on Etsy, and it worked during the Christmas season. Mm-hmm. But now putting more energy into it, we're seeing results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but if it does shift to this, it seems like Black City is great.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. We have something, at least something.
Yeah.
That's semi-started, right?
Like, imagine that we never even took initiative in this coffee world.
Yeah.
We would have just had weddings. We just only have this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have another egg.
Yeah, you have another egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been great. So.
And it's an egg that you love to do. That's the difference.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been sort of weird too. Like, I get to do what I love now. I've never had that feeling before.
Well, I thought you loved to do this. I remember you did that.
Yeah, but this is not a product. You know, to put your name on a product, a real one, like a tangible one. I think that's a different feeling. I've never experienced that before. And that people get to consume it. Mm-hmm. It's a very
to experience. What you experience and what knowledge that you run through to get this type of roast. It's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been, I don't know, it's cool. Like, I'm just going through the motions. I'm trying to be present with the coffee when I'm with coffee. And then when I go to KLV, to be present with KLV. And
you are taking it slow. You're going at your own pace.
Yeah.
And this time allows us to go at our own pace, which is good.
Yeah, it's
nice. If we were back in business on KLV, it's hard. It's going to be a different level.
Oh, I won't even touch it.
But then this time, it allows you to really take it slow. Mm-hmm. And then when things ramp up again in business for KLV, it's like you already got second nature down in how to, you got your systems that you figured out during these slow times. Yeah. Because you could have made mistakes when things are happening really fast in KLV.
Yeah, like shipping, for example.
Like, but all now you have a chance to really study it and take it slow. And that I would say, things just kind of happen for a reason. And I'm very thankful that we have Black City Coffee and that you can take these steps slow. Like you said last year, I want to just take it slow. And now you have all the time in the world to really give it attention and at your own pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been cool.
So cool things are coming along the way, which is your merch and your coffee mugs. I don't know what else you ordered, but
I'm just trying to find the essence of what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
And then we're going to be doing your why soon, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to really figure out what is the reason, who is our market, right? What do we want Black City to become, and who's it for, right?
Yeah, and who are we? Like,
Yeah, who are we in Black? I mean, we know our roles, but what is Black City Coffee to us?
Yeah, kind of.
Right.
I feel like it needs more molding.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely needs more molding.
But those things kind of come in naturally. It's almost like me trying to figure out the style for KLV. Initially, I was like, what am I good at in wedding photography? Like, where do I want to shift my brand or my style, and what do I like, to capture? And that took time. I really didn't find that. I didn't find myself in photography until 3 years in. So for Black City, I know it's going to take some time. Like, you don't know who your customers are. You're going to know who you like to talk to that are into your coffee. And then people like last week that you didn't like to talk about coffee with. So you kind of know who you want to gel with, right? But then you also start to know your company a lot better.
Yeah.
Down the line after all these trial and error, and all this is trial and error, and what people are just throwing questions at you. And all these questions I've been seeing on Instagram messages asking you all these, how do you roast this? Or let's work together in this. And I was like, okay, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Do I want this? I mean, you like this industry, this roasting community, but do you really want to be a part of it, as in you want to help other roasters? Like, is that your why in Black City?
That's not my why.
Yeah.
That's not my why.
That's where you're going to figure yourself out. That I hate doing this. I'd rather just write some article and you do your own research, but that's not my why. So you cut that part out, and then you're going to shift more on the consumer side.
It's ancillary.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a fun thing that I like to do, and people watch it, and I'm like, cool, it gives me eyeballs.
Yeah. But then I see
not my why.
Yeah, I see you're getting more of these questions about roasting, right?
That's fine.
Yeah, but then it's sort of like these are the questions I would ask you in figuring out the why, right? And you're going to say, no, that's not my why. So you already cut that off. So, we're going to be doing that exercise, and I think we'll be doing it tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah.
What's tomorrow?
So, that's it for today. I those are the wedding trends that we kind of see that's going to be happening. And like we both said, we can't wait to get back to work.
Yeah, what's something hopeful that we can leave our clients? All the team is healthy.
Yeah, all the team is still good. All the team is always checking in with us, wanting to see like, when is the first event? I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to be ready. I know there's a big year ahead of us.
Yeah.
And I'm always constantly updating them.
I say if you want to train and whatever, just train. Like, you have a model here that I could put on a suit or whatever you want me to do. It's it's not a big deal. We'll just train again. It's like business as usual, But not freak out. Don't freak out. We're going to get through it. Yeah. And we're ready for when that happens. Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right, guys.
See you guys next time.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the KLV Podcast. Learn more about us at kevinlavouweddings.com or on Instagram @KevinLaVou, @KLV Podcast. You can rate and review us on iTunes and watch us on YouTube. Join us next time, sharing more of our experiences and lessons.